What's up, Sneaky Nation? Sneaky P back with all the news after Week 10 of our Los Angeles Crusaders franchise in Season number 5, and Stewart Dini had a career game at the perfect moment against the best team in the NFL. An unbelievable milestone for such a very young quarterback. I don't know if milestone is the right word, but he had 5 touchdowns. He had 4 passing and 1 rushing. And just a monster game from a very young player when we needed it the most. Had we picked up a loss there, our whole season very well could have been lost. And we're still not out of the danger zone yet of missing the playoffs. But that win has definitely helped this team a lot. And Stewart Dini made it happen. He stepped up big time. Let's go ahead with game prep. And we have 42 hours to work with this week. So what I'm thinking is we might just continue with the confidence, man. It definitely helped Stewart Dini out in that last game, apparently. That was a very nice win at home. And you know what also showed this young Crusaders team that we can compete with the best teams in the NFL. If we can definitely step our game up. Oh, they're not going to let me do any more. Confidence for him. So I guess we're just going to have to go back to developing him over here. But definitely a great game from Stewart Dini. Handing the Broncos their first loss. And again, that's a team we could see in the playoffs if we make it there. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Let's go ahead with this again. Quarterback. And man, I'm impressed though, especially because we did it without Devin Golden. Now, we played a very conservative approach. You know, we saw a lot of rushes from Case and Dobbs, as well as a few by Jesus King as well. And that's the approach we wanted to take. The second we grabbed that lead, we didn't want to make a mistake. We didn't want to force a throw. So we stuck with our running game and short passes, and it paid off for us as the Crusaders escaped with a very nice victory. And again, I think the rest of the league kind of saw what we are capable of doing when everything is clicking on all the right cylinders. Let's go ahead to draft stories. Carl Parker has been a force to be reckoned with for Auburn so far this season, picking up a sack in each of the last 5 games. Very, very interesting. Somebody to keep an eye on. Granted, we do a pretty good job getting to the quarterback as it is. Next up, we have the San Diego Chargers. They are 0-9 coming into this game. Now, any given Sunday definitely plays a role, as we saw last week against the Broncos. Just because they're 0-9 does not mean that they could have a great game against us. So the Crusaders are still going to need to bring it. Now, luckily, we're at home. Now, what concerns me is if you look at our offensive rank and defensive rank, we are struggling. We're in the bottom half of the league in both categories. Definitely not where we want to be. Our defense has really been struggling more than anticipated so far this season. And our offense has been good, but it's just been very inconsistent. You never really quite know what we're going to get from the offense. And Devin Golden finally had a great game with the new playbook, but then he got hurt. So now we're seeing Case and Dobbs, who didn't necessarily get a whole lot of yards per carry, but he's playing from a backup role. It is something to keep an eye on. We definitely need to work on better reads, which I think we did pretty well last week. And we need our defense to step up a little bit more, which they did in the passing game last week. As I showed at the end of the video, we had a lot of deflected passes, something we haven't had a whole lot of this season. So I was really, really happy to see that. Let's go ahead and check out the playoff picture right now. And if you look at the AFC, we are still out of the playoffs. However, we're really close to a lot of teams. Now, the benchmark right now is clearly 5-4, which we are 5-4. Now, we haven't played some of these teams, but the Steelers have the advantage over us. They have the tiebreaker on us. The Chiefs, who are on a 4-game winning streak, they started off 1-4, but Tremaine Small has clearly turned it around. They're another team in our division who we have yet to play, so we could potentially get 2 games against them, I hope. The Patriots, we actually have the tiebreaker over. Now, they are a game ahead of us, but 1 loss by them, 1 win by us, we leapfrog them. Now, the Ravens and Texans both have the tiebreaker on us. So, it's definitely not looking all that great for us right now. However, they're both leading their division, so I'm not worried about them. Who I need to be worried about are the teams that I'm competing with, and that is the list from the Steelers or the Chiefs down, really. The Chiefs down are the teams I'm competing with right now, so it's a long season. We still have, 6 games left? Yeah, we still have, 7 games left. I'm sorry. We still have 7 games left. So, definitely, we can still get back in this, especially after a very promising win like that against a great team. So, I'm still hopeful. I don't know why I'm going to Team Roadmap. I did not mean to do that. But let's go over to injury report again. I think we're pretty good. Okay, yeah, Devin Golden's still the only one hurt. We had a guy that got injured with a turf toe. I figured he'd be back. But only 2 more weeks with him. I'm glad he's going to be missing this Chargers game. Like, if he has to miss any, going up against one of the worst teams in the NFL is a pretty good time to do it. So let's go ahead and check out the stats from our division, something we haven't done as much lately. Chaz Jenkins and Tremaine Small have both taken over Dini for quarterback rating. Dini had those 2 weeks where he just really struggled. Now, that said, he's still leading the way in touchdown passes, which I am pretty stoked about. He's right behind Tremaine Small in terms of yards. Again, Small's really kind of turned it around in recent weeks. You know, only 4 interceptions through 9 games. He's being very, very efficient. Now, he's not getting as many touchdowns as Stewart Dini, but he's also not making the mistakes that could potentially cost his team games. And as you see, a long of only 30, they're playing a very conservative approach. But Chaz Jenkins still having a monster season. 10 interceptions, 2 of those came in that last game against us. Our defense did a great job against him, but he is still having a monster season. And then Philip Farrell, who we're about to see this next week, is actually struggling greatly. 18 interceptions through 9 games. Hopefully he'll keep that average going and throw 2 our way as well. But a nice win against the Chargers is definitely going to benefit us. Le'Veon Bell doing a great job. 719 yards on the season, 4.8 yards a carry. Devin Golden still third on this list despite the injury. Jamal Charles is second on the list. If we're looking at touchdowns, that is Jamal Charles leading the way with 6. Le'Veon Bell starts with 4. Crisp with 4, the rookie for the Chargers, who we're actually about to see, and Lamar Miller with 4 as well. Stewart Dini with 3, and then Devin Golden with 2. Definitely need to get more from him. And then we see Jesus King on that list as well, which I'm pretty stoked about. Receiving the ball, Demaryius Thomas still leading the way, and once again, like, we don't see a single player on our team until all the way down here. Definitely not good. I mean, I really don't know what it is. I feel like we've been passing the ball a lot. Granted, we haven't had a great completion percentage, and we're doing a pretty good job spreading it around amongst a lot of players, but the fact that we don't have anybody in this list when you see teams like the Broncos with 4 players before our first, the Chiefs with 3 players before our first, you know, that kind of sucks a little bit. I definitely like to get a little bit more receptions for our players there, but we'll get working on it. Demaryius Thomas, Brandon Marshall, and Shakir Gayton leading the way with 6. Matt Ward with 5. Garner with 4. And then Sellers with 3, along with Keaston Mack, McNeil, Poteet, Cross, and Reese. So again, you know, we have a lot of different players catching touchdown passes as well, which I'm pretty stoked about. You know, the teamwork with our offense, we really can go to any player. And I have a lot of faith in our wide receiving core this year. Donald Butler leading the way by a good bit in terms of tackles. Sacks, we got Khalil Mack with 11, Shelby Harris with 10, Von Miller with 9, McCown with 6, Gibson with 6, Zeke Hickman with 3, and Pete McCants with 3. McCants, didn't we have him? We had McCants, actually. I'm pretty sure we had him and let him go. Am I remembering that correctly? I feel like we had McCants. Maybe we didn't. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But I could have sworn we had him. Maybe not. Maybe I just remember him because he was a rookie on the Chargers and we saw him twice a year. Interceptions-wise, Chris Harris Jr. with 3, Roby with 3, and Ofisa Okafor with 3. Quite a lot of players with 2 here, including LeJean Knight. And then a number of players with 1 as well. Fumbles forced, let's check it out. 2 for Khalil Mack, 2 for Spikes, and 2 for Ray. Our team's doing a very good job forcing fumbles. 3 recoveries for Sherman, 2 for Hickman, and 2 for Pizlesny. Blocks, no blocks in the division. No safeties in the division. And only 2 touchdowns to Ofisa Okafor and LeJean Knight. Moving forward, see what we got. Kicking. Prater, 23 of 23, still just having a monster season. And nobody in the division has had a field goal over 50 yards. Now, Prater did hit 50 yards. Everybody else is pretty close. Only 8 field goals for Gostkowski. I feel like we either get a touchdown or we turn the ball over when we get down to the red zone there. And then punting, obviously, we have a lot we're getting a lot from Marquette King. However, the closest we've seen somebody really throughout this series is Andy Lee. Go Niners, baby. Mendenhall leading the way in average, only 1 kick return, but he returned it for 29 yards. Now, kick touchdowns, we see Redmond for the Chiefs with 1. And then punt returns, we have Cooper for the Broncos with 1. I believe... Oh, wait, no, we got to check out the awards here. The weekly awards. Let's see what happens. And Stewart Dini is going to make the list. 25 of 31. 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. A monster game from our rookie quarterback, and this could be the turning point for the season. I think we are all hoping. You know, we've seen some inconsistencies from him. He could turn around and lay a goose egg next game, but I'm really hoping this is the turning point for him. That was a monster game, and I am stoked from what we saw from him, especially against a great Bronco defense. Michael for the 49ers, 161 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8.1 yards a carry. Shazier for the Steelers with 2 sacks and 16 tackles, and Easley for the Saints, 17 tackles for him. That is going to be it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. And I will see y'all in Week 11 as we take on the Chargers. Peace.